comes against Israel in Daniel 11:44, he has bad tidings. He hears that there's somebody north of him and somebody east of him that's causing a ruckus, causing problems, wanting to start a fighting. So the Antichrist, why does God allow this to happen? God allows it because he doesn't want the Antichrist to overthrow Israel. It's 3.5 years left in Daniel's 70th week. So God turns the Antichrist around and sends him north. And the only thing north of where they're at, north of Israel, is Russia. The only thing east up there that would cause the Antichrist problem is Red China. So Russia and China are angry with the Antichrist because of what he's doing. Well, he pulls out of Israel. If you'll read in Daniel, he pulls out of Israel. Then he goes and he fights Russia and he conquers them. Why? Because he's got the devil on his side. Then he goes to Red China and he conquers them. He conquers north and east. And they all come under him, under his regime. They side with him because he's powerful. This is the Antichrist. And all the nations of the world that have turned on Israel side with the Antichrist. Then God says, okay, all of y'all come down to Jerusalem. Y'all come on down to Israel. Annihilate them. I'll meet you there. All of them come from up north. And this is where Daniel 11:44 takes hold. They come from up north, and they come to destroy Israel. Jesus sent out, he told us about the plea in Matthew 24, I believe it is. He sent out a plea for all the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. God sends out a plea here in Ezekiel. He says, I got a feast coming. I'm going to let you eat all the princes and all the kings of the earth, all the soldiers. And in verse 4, he says, thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel. He's talking to the Antichrist. Thou and all thy bands, every country that joins with you is going to fall that day. And the people that is with thee, I don't know if that's proper English, that is with thee, I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. God makes the Antichrist a promise. You come against my people. Now, we've been blessed when we were in Israel to see the valley of Megiddo. We saw it from Mount Carmel. It's a big, huge valley. You wouldn't believe how many miles there is across it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All Brother Sam could say, man, this soul is fertile. He said, boy, this is fertile soul. So you see, Israel doesn't have to put any fertilizer to any of their vegetables or stuff still to the day. They can plant it and it just grows abundantly. I mean, it grows, it's a land of milk and honey. It's just an abundant, fertile soil. But we saw the valley of Megiddo, where the battle of Armageddon is to be fought. You can see it clearly from up on Mount Carmel. And God sent out a message. He said, at this time, Gog, at this time, Antichrist. See, all this is prophetic. None of this has happened yet. But Jesus tells us in Matthew 24, now God is telling us, we're going to send a plea out for all the birds and the animals to meet us on the mountains. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God. And I will send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the islands, and they shall know that I am the Lord. You see, the reason for great tribulation, Magog, a lot of people don't know what Magog is the spirit that's driving Gog. And it's a spiritual warfare. And you have to understand that even though the Antichrist is going to be physically man, he's going to have a spirit driving him. It's just like if you study the 7 heads of the beast, and I know this is going to confuse a lot of people, but the 7 heads of the beast are the 7 oppressions of Israel, people that have really oppressed Israel. Number 1 is Egypt. Egypt was the first head that oppressed Israel. Number 2 was the Assyrians. The Assyrians oppressed Israel and took them into bondage. Number 3 was Nebuchadnezzar, which was Babylon. They were the third head of the beast that you're going to talk about, that you can find in Revelation. The third head of the beast was Babylon. The fourth head was the Medo-Persia Empire, because the Medes and the Persians came in. Darius and Cyrus came in and overthrew Nebuchadnezzar and took over Babylon. And then they oppressed Israel, the fourth head. Fifth head come in swift, Alexander the Great. He came in, he was so crazy, he conquered everybody that got in his way. The Bible talks about him. History tells us that it happened, but the Bible talks about all these countries. If you studied world history, you took it, and you learned a lot about it. I loved world history. I didn't know at the time why. I remember I had to go to the guidance counselor one day and say, what class am I supposed to go to? I hadn't been in school so long. She said, fourth period, you got, or fifth period, you've got, fourth period, you've got world history. Anyway, went to world history, and I loved it. I really liked learning. I didn't know why, but now I do know. But anyway, I loved world history. But Alexander the Great is the fifth head of the beast. The sixth head of the beast is the Roman Empire, Herod, Caesar. You know, Caesar Augustus was emperor, and he overtook Israel. When Jesus was born, Herod was governor there in Jerusalem, or in Israel. He was over it. Herod, but, you know, Pontius Pilate was governor, I guess it was. Herod was something. Anyway, Caesar Augustus was the emperor of all of it, but Rome had an empire. And Daniel tells us clearly that the Antichrist is coming out of the old Roman Empire, which was made up of 10 countries. Well, the reason we've been waiting all this long is because everybody taught that 4 of the countries, or 3 of the countries, were in the Soviet Union. And there had to be a third world war before those countries could be freed up, but God showed them differently. Overnight, Soviet Union dispersed. Albania, Romania, and whatever countries they are there, they were set free. They got their own kings and their own presidents. The seventh head of the beast, the sixth head was the Roman Empire. The seventh head of the beast is the revised Roman Empire, not the revived, but the revised, which is the 10 nations, 10 presidents that are over the 10 countries of modern day Europe united, or United Europe. Daniel 2:44, if you'll read that verse, it'll tell you, Daniel is asking God, when's the kingdom coming? God says, when these 10 kings are in place. When these 10 kings are in place, then I'm coming to set up a kingdom that'll never be destroyed. The 10 kings are in place now. You've heard of the, what's that, Brexit. Britain is trying to exit the European Union. Y'all been seeing that on television. They've been having a whole lot of trouble doing it. But you see, when they come out of the European Union, that's the end of it. When Britain comes out of the European Union, there's going to be 10 nations left. Those 10 kings are the 10 kings that Daniel's talking about in the Bible. Then Jesus is coming back to this earth to set up an eternal kingdom that shall never be destroyed again. It's all in the Bible. Everything that I'm telling you, and I can read it to you, but I don't have that much time. And those of you joining by television, if you want to get a copy of the CD, I did a teaching on this. I did a teaching on the Bible. I've taught on Daniel 5 different times. I've got 5 CDs of complete teaching on this subject. But you can call the ministry number on the television screen, and you can get the number. For those joining by radio, it's 1-800-774-5255. I forgot to mention, invite, and welcome all of you joining by radio. But the number is 1-800-774-5255. It's a toll-free number. You can call and get a copy of that CD. But as we learn about this thing, God calls all the animals. He said, let's just read it. I will send fire down, but let's read verse 7. So I will make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, and the Holy One in Israel. And many of you that are joining by television right now, you're heathens because you don't believe.